Hey dolls, welcome back to your Royal BFF, the People's Duchess. How's it going? Hope y'all are doing well. Prince Harry is back on the stand in his case against Associated Press, or the Daily Fail, as we call them. I've learned a lot from day two. I want to go over this one clip in particular, not necessarily because of what was said, but because of what was implied. Let's go over it and then we'll chat on the other end.
It'd be interesting, we'll never know, but how he felt coming away from that. Like you said, he was due to give evidence tomorrow. It was brought forward a day early. It was expected to be a full day. He only got a couple of hours. Rory, what are the tactics at play here from a legal point of view?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot has been made of the fact that yesterday, Anthony White Casey for Associated Newspapers was supposed to do opening statements for 2 days, and he only did 2 hours, which pushed Prince Harry into the box a day early. And this is a technique that can be used to try and rattle a witness. And then today, interesting that they only cross-examined Harry for 2 hours. Now, in my experience, if you have a witness on the ropes, you keep going. He was due to be cross-examined for a day, and they took him out. They pulled him early, because I think Harry was doing well, actually. Now, I think what a lot of people think about Harry is that he's a playboy and he's not very bright, but actually, he's intelligent, he's articulate, he's genuine, he comes across genuinely, and also he knows these issues inside out. He's lived this case, and that makes, in my experience, for a very compelling witness. And I think that although there were no hammer blows landed by either side today, I think Harry held up well enough that they thought, this is damaging to us. And he said a few things. For example, he said, I feel like they were trying to drive me to drink and drugs to make more press out of me. He talked about the misery inflicted on Meghan and started choking up. This is the kind of emotional stuff that cuts through to the public. And I think maybe there was a tactical decision by Associated's lawyers that this isn't going well, we should pull him out early so he doesn't do any more damage.
Between the cutting the opening remarks from 2 days to 2 hours and only having Prince Harry on the stand for 2 hours, I feel like the Daily Mail has shown their hand. They don't have a defense whatsoever. They have nothing to say except, we didn't do nothing. And that's not really going to suffice here when Prince Harry had 14 articles drawn to the attention of the court in which you did do something. You did some terrible things. So although it wasn't said outright in any of the commentary that I heard, it's deeply implied that the Daily Mail came woefully unprepared and woefully underestimating Prince Harry, as usual. And because the Mail and the royals are in bed with each other, now I fully understand why it's such a crisis for them, why this is a crisis for them as well. They're likely going to be implicated in these proceedings. They've run away to Scotland to avoid when the ish hits the fan. When the full scope of their culpability in all this comes to light, it's going to be highly embarrassing for them. They're not going to be able to run away from it either. Contrary to popular belief, people know who you are wherever you go. You're never going to be able to outrun your dastardly reputation anywhere. Those emotional support poles, they only do so much comforting. They're like cheap drugs. They only last for a little bit and then you're right back chasing it. So he got a good dose of reality over there in Sterling, isn't it? And it was really dumb. It was just such another dumb move for them to go to Scotland of all places. They can't stand y'all. Anyways, child, so Harry gave testimony yesterday in court and it was very compelling. He was asked why he waited all this time to bring up the lawsuit, and Harry gave a brilliant answer. He said, look, in my experience, when I've complained, they've doubled down. So I've learned to just kind of maintain that stiff upper lip. But he did get quite emotional talking about the effect that the Daily Mail has had on his wife's life. I mean, 8 days is all it took for him to have to issue that first statement saying, hey man, you guys are being really rude, really racist, really inappropriate. Could you stop? It's so ridiculous of the Daily Mail to sit there and argue in court that that's not the case when they're currently still doing it. The woman at the heart of these 14 articles is Carolyn Graham, currently at Thomas Markle's bedside in the Philippines to draw press and use him for clicks. So it's not as if they have much of a defense. What do you just hope the judge doesn't know about what y'all are doing with Thomas? Are you just praying that they didn't see that front page, desperately sad picture and pathetic attempt to blackmail Meghan into speaking to y'all? Like, I don't understand why the Daily Mail thinks that the judge would just be ignorant of that if they don't talk about it in court. I don't know. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, I guess. For decades, Harry has had what is called an uneasy relationship with the media, but kept mum and followed the family protocol of never complain, never explain, which has done so much harm. And as it turns out, it's not even like a real thing. Andrew got up there and did a whole special, complaining and explaining. So the whole don't complain, don't explain thing really only serves to benefit the abuser. And now that all of the allegations are laid bare, well, I think about 80% of the allegations have been laid bare, I don't see how they can just continue pretending like it doesn't exist to them. They can't just continue ignoring these hecklers. People are going to come right up to them in the future and just say, what the heck? We need answers. And, I don't know. And I also imagine, like, what are they telling the kids? It's got to be so difficult to continue convincing these children that they're the be all and end all when people are throwing produce at them in the streets and heckling them. Like, ugh. At some point, you're going to have to scrap the emotional support poles and be honest with yourselves and your children and those around you. The fact of the matter is, Harry is a problem for the royals. The crisis manager was brought in because William and Kate are likely at the heart of all the things. There is more to Kate than we are giving her credit for. If it turns out that this crisis counselor was hired just as much for Kate as for William, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Kate and William have both done a really good job of making people think that they're just kind of aloof, particularly Kate. That's her whole brand. But no, there's something a lot deeper, something a lot more nefarious, something very Ghislaine Maxwell about Kate. Because you can't just survive in this environment if you don't sell a little bit of yourself to the patriarchy, the monarchy, and to William and whatever sick stuff he's got going on. So good for Prince Harry. Good for him for walking away from this cesspit of demonic characters, for not only thinking about his own mental health, but for his wife's and his children's. I mean, again, just imagine Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet having to grow up around these people. Talk about stranger danger. Ugh. Anyways, hopefully one day they'll learn their lesson. Hopefully from the outcome of this case, a lot of things will change. It's looking really good too for Harry. It's a really good sign when the defendant comes woefully unprepared to court. It's a really good sign that people were cheering Harry on as he went into the courtroom, and they always have. The people on ground in Britain have always loved Harry and clearly still do. So these are all really good signs for his case. Definitely didn't see anybody out there heckling like they were out in Scotland. God, that was embarrassing.